Today, we have the ending to my own short story, I Really Hate Spiders. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be reading more of my own and other authors' work hopefully every week, if not bi weekly. Still working out a schedule right now. Well, without going too much more into it, I want you to turn off the lights, close your eyes, and turn up the volume. Hello, Jason. Two words that never sent deeper chills down my spine. After waking up to those words in my apartment, Charlotte's Web-esque style, I took off. I don't mean just ran away to another apartment. I moved clear across the country to California. I was hoping 1,000 miles between us would protect me from my ex's interest. Normally, I would not go through so much effort to escape an ex, but given she had somehow turned into a spider-human hybrid, I figured this qualified for an exception. I doubted she would respect a restraining order, and officially, she was considered missing. So, it's not possible to have the order served to her. So, here I am, months later in my apartment in California. I have a new job at an independent news site. Pay is not stellar, but I paid my bills and felt like I was doing some good. I did not like the fake news craze that was going on, and wanted to help contribute to the cure, not the cause. In addition, given the fact that one of my coworkers was the public face for the site's web streaming and had expressed interest in some co-writing endeavors, I felt like it was finally starting to return to normalcy. At least some. I still freak out and quickly kill any and all spiders I come across. But this was a minor issue, I felt. Plenty of people hate spiders. Plenty of them have a healthy fear of them. There are horror movies out there about it. Well, okay. Things are mostly okay. I have exaggerated a bit about killing spiders being only my lasting issue. I do see a counselor to handle PTSD from the event. I also have terrible nightmares about Jane and the spiders. I cannot tell you how many nights I have woke up in a cold sweat or screaming. I also cannot tell you how many checks I do around my house for any webs or hiding spots for spiders. I have adopted a pseudo-minimalist lifestyle to facilitate this. Aside from my Xbox, computer, and games, there are no unnecessary things in my house. A couch, a bed, a table I eat at, and that's it. I look at it as fewer places they can hide, the fewer places she could be hiding. I can't explain exactly how I know, but I knew she could see me through her spider children's eyes. I just knew it was like a hive mind situation, and she could come use them to find me and hunt me. So, I kill every last one of those 8-legged arachno demons I come across. If I get some innocent spiders in the process, so be it. Fuck those creatures anyway. Things fell into a sort of routine. Work, home, sleep, and repeat. There was the occasional date with aforementioned coworker, but I never let her stay over, nor stayed at her place. I sincerely doubted night terrors were sexy to her, or anyone else. At least not to anyone that I wouldn't be involved with, but hey, no judgment for me. Whatever way you swing, go for it. Because of this routine, I think I got complacent a bit. I blame myself in this. I woke up one afternoon from a nap, staring at the ceiling to see a huge spider just sitting there, staring down at me. It had to be about as big as my thumb had adjusted its body. Before I had too much of a chance to react, it fell right onto my chest and scrambled up to my chest and sank its fangs into the soft spot of skin between my neck and shoulders. It felt like liquid fire coursed through my veins. Everything started to go dark around the edges of my vision, and I instinctively reached up to swat the spider. I only swatted skin. I pulled my hand back to see just a bit of blood on the palm of my hand. Then pain erupted again from my other shoulder. The bastard had moved and bit me again. My vision grew darker and darker until I passed out completely. I woke up suspended in a spider web in a building I did not recognize. I was only a few feet above the ground. It did not seem to be cocooned or anything. It looked more as if I had just been placed gently down on the sloping web than tied to it. My vision was still a little blurry, and it felt like I had cotton surrounding my brain, but I knew I had to move. This was definitely not a good situation. She had found me and had struck. I managed to climb down the sticky web and took a quick inventory of what I had on me. It was not much, just my normal day-to-day things. Wallet, keys, pocket knife, and a Zippo-style lighter. Not exactly armed for a fight. I took a better look around me, and it looked like I was in an abandoned warehouse. It must have been an old agricultural or food warehouse, since there was remnants of tools and mildewing piles of hay along the walls periodically. I couldn't find a door, though. The walls had been encased in webbing, nearly covering them completely. Only a few windows remained uncovered to let some light in. Judging by the color of the light, the sun had just started to set. My instincts told me that I had to get out of there before nightfall, and I didn't argue with them. I started along the nearest wall to me and followed it around, looking for a door behind the webbing. As I came up to my first corner, I saw what consisted of molding hay. Stuck into the hay, as if a flag used to proclaim a new land discovery, stood a pitchfork. It did not look too affected by time. A little rust on the tongs thanks to decaying hay, but it still seemed solid enough. Feeling more secure with a bigger weapon than a folding pocket knife, I took the pitchfork along with me in my search for an exit. In my search, I also came across a rust-covered crowbar. I grabbed this too. You never know when you could need a crowbar, right? At least that's what gaming taught me. A little past the crowbar, I came across a large cocoon hanging from the wall. It didn't move, even when poked by the pitchfork. The worst part was, it was about the size of an average adult. Jane's previous meal, I guessed. I took another glance around the warehouse and realized this was not the only cocoon. They littered the walls and ceiling randomly. I counted at least 20. Some were small, about the size of a large dog. Others were human size, or bigger. I didn't want to think about what was in the bigger ones, honestly. The fact she could lift something bigger than human did not give me a good feeling. A little past the first cocoon I spotted, barely able to be seen thanks to the thick webbing, was a large metal double door. I pulled my pocket knife from its home in my right front pocket and set to work cutting the door free. It took a while, as the webbing was so thick and strong. It was like cutting through rolled netting with a dull knife. Sad thing was, the knife was not dull. After an agonizingly long time, I freed the door from its covering, enough to go through at least. It held fast, not feeling locked but feeling stuck. On closer inspection, the hinges were rusted together. If I did not somehow break the hinges off, or at least get the pin holding them out, this door was not going anywhere. Not liking my chances for finding another door, or its likelihood to be in similar disrepair, I sat to work with the crowbar I found. Seeing video games can teach you important life lessons. Proved you wrong, Mom. I struck the hinges repeatedly with the straight edge of the crowbar. The sound echoed throughout the empty expanse, and it made my heart sink. If she was not aware I was awake before, she was now. Stealth no longer an option, I kept striking. The first hinge fell off in a rusted, broken mess only after a few strikes. The second followed soon enough in similar fashion. The door wobbled a little when pushed, but it still felt like it was rusted in place. Not knowing what else could be holding in place, I just kicked at it. The door fell back with a loud clang, revealing a dark, web-covered hallway. I pulled up my phone and hit its flashlight function. I, of course, checked for reception, but was not surprised to see it had no bars. Huge metal buildings do not facilitate great cell reception. The light shone down the hall, cutting into the darkness. I saw skittering in the webs as I followed the hall, but somehow restrained myself from stomping at every instance. The hall seemed to go on forever, but I eventually made my way down the creepy corridor to an intersection of halls. It went straight ahead and to my left. Fuck! I had no clue which way to go. My decision was made for me, though, as when I shone the light down the hall to my left, I saw Jane standing there. She stood there, staring at me with all 5 eyes of hers, and seemingly straight through me. The sight made me drop the pitchfork and crowbar as I froze in place from fear. She cocked her head to the side in an inquisitive gesture before speaking to me. Her voice barely resembled her old one. Only slight, familiar tones were hidden in a high-pitched, chittering sound.
Jason, where are you going, my love?
Still frozen in fear, I stammered out Jane, you gave me the choice to leave. Why are you hunting me like this? After speaking, I started to get some of my courage back, but it was very little, and the fear surrounding me was overwhelming. 2 additional arms seemed to curl up from behind her, and all 4 arms extended out in a gesture similar to, I am unarmed, despite there being far too many arms there.
Hunting? Jason, that hurts.
She lowered her head and cocked it to the side again, her movements oddly stiff but fluid as she swayed slightly side to side.
If I wanted to eat you, I could have many times by now. I should, for all my children you have killed in your silly phobia. But you have killed countless children of mine. I can still hear their screams of pain, of fear. But it's okay, Jason. I can forgive you, because I know this cannot be easy to deal with. I have been blessed with this gift, and you have had to remain yourself, and terrified in your ignorance. I can't blame you. I still love you, and I want you with me.
She suddenly cleared the distance between us in a blink of an eye, coming up to my chest and laying her head on it, just as she used to when she was human. Those creepy mandibles had seemed to disappear, and despite the extra arms and eyes, I could still see my old fiancé in there. She moved my arms to embrace her, and she embraced me in return. We stood there in a horrifying embrace, her breathing quick and shallow. She smelled like a musty attic. It was not a bad smell, but it wasn't her. I had to remember that. I had to move. I just had to. In one fluid movement, I grabbed her hair and wrenched her head back, and simultaneously pulled out my pocket knife and slit her throat in a slice. Green ichor sprayed all around me, and on me. The very walls around me seemed to shriek in pain, and Jane lay there on the ground, a look of pain and betrayal in her monstrous 5 eyes. And there was regret. For a second, I saw the old Jane there before the light in her eyes left. I started to tear up, but refused to cry. Jane had died months ago. This was something terrible, something that fed on human beings and other animals, that has killed God knows how many since we last saw each other. I can't feel regret for what I did, right? I ignored my conscience screaming at me and continued down the hall. The door outside was strangely left uncovered. I opened the door to see the outside sky. I wasn't far from town, only a few hours or so walk. Luckily, it had started the storm to wash the remains from my clothes. If this is how it all ended, I would have been fine with it. Life doesn't always have neat endings for us, though. As I started to walk out from the hall, a huge web covered the outside wall. What I saw there finished breaking my heart and any hold I had on my tears and sorrow. There, woven into the web, was 3 words. I'm sorry, Jason. She knew I would find a way out. At least part of her had remained despite the freakish takeover. And that part of her wanted to apologize for whatever would happen in there. She must have kidnapped me to give me another chance. To be with her or leave. I fell to my knees crying. I don't know how long I sat there in the dirt and rain, just crying. But eventually it passed. The rain slowly washed away most of the green ichor as I hiked my way back to town. I took my time walking, turning down all offers to give me a ride. I needed this walk. It felt like I deserved this misery, despite everything. It also gave me time to think, time to sort things out of my head. After that, life seemed to go back to its routine. Apparently, in the storm that followed my escape, a stray lightning bolt had struck the warehouse and caught it on fire. It burned down to ashes despite the rain. I guess the webbing made for great kindling, and it burned hot enough to melt the steel walls that made up the warehouse. Many bodies were found in the ashes, charred remains of her meals. Through various dental records, many of their remains were identified. A lot of them were missing people. All of them were men, and at least half of them also had criminal records or suspected of crimes despite getting away with them due to various technicalities. There were no bodies of a female found, though. I don't know the full story of what happened exactly, but have put together most of it. Enough to know that what I killed in the warehouse was at least still partially my Jane. I don't know if I can continue to live on knowing that I killed my fiancée. Killed someone that apparently loved me so much she followed me across the country and loved me enough to give me another chance instead of making me become like her. I live day to day fine, but something seems to be missing in me now, and the depression is constantly growing inside me to take its place. I am writing this because I wanted to tell the story, to get these feelings down on paper, and maybe give an example to everyone. Sometimes monsters can still be human, and can still love. I see few spiders these days now. I am guessing without their queen directing them to me, they just stay away. I did though see one spider this morning, chilling on the ceiling. It just watched me for a few minutes, and then scurried off. I didn't bother to chase it or kill it. I didn't have the heart to, and it made me think. I don't know for sure, but could she still be alive after all this? Could whatever changes happen to her help her survive what I did? Could she forgive me for it? It can't be. I am probably just hopelessly wishing here. And that's it. That's the end. Okay. Well, so if you liked it, go ahead and hit that bell subscribe button and at least the like button so that we can get some more movement on it. And yeah, I plan on trying to get every week or bi-weekly going on for my updates. Just kind of working the schedule out here and trying to figure out everything and what time I'm going to have to record. So I'm sorry for the long delay on recording, and thanks for staying with me. I definitely appreciate it.